All right. Well, good morning and welcome to another episode of RoadFS Detail Memoirs, where it's always fun, entertaining, especially pre-show. so, um, so if we're laughing, it's because Alejandro has already got us laughing. Our guest today is Alejandro Bonilla from Costa Rica. So, RoadFS Detail Memoirs is truly international. I'm Jody.
And I'm Rod. And every week we take the time and opportunity with RoadFS to sponsor this event where we can talk to some of the biggest detailers in the industry and really highlight them and what they're doing. I'm really excited this week. There was a big disappointment in the fact that Air Force One has been canceled this year. It does not mean we won't be back next year, but Air Force One is where we had the opportunity to actually work side by side with Alejandro and meet you and just see how awesome of a person you really are. So welcome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, we've been really. I think this is one of the interviews, other than interviewing the Buffing Queen last week. I've really been looking forward to visiting with you because I think we've met, like Rod said, at Air Force One. You're always so positive and happy. It's like where the guy gets a permanent smile on his face.
Well, you know what is I really enjoy what I'm doing and all of the stuff that I've been so blessed to experience. Going through the training with Rennie and the Detail Mafia, it's been an amazing journey, and it's the kind of stuff you would never dream that you could do. I remember, just like it was yesterday, getting to the Museum of Flight, and they tell you, okay, you got like 10 minutes to do like a live on Facebook, and then I was so cocky and yeah, I'm over here, and then as soon as I started talking on the live on Facebook, I all choked up. I couldn't really say anything. My eyes got all sweaty and stuff, and it was just amazing just being there. And the place is so big, it's so full of planes and everything, and it's really overwhelming to a point.
Yeah, it really is. And I was reading through some of the forums this week, and I'm part of a lot of the detailing forums, but I don't play in all the arguments. But someone was asking, they said, hey, I've heard of this Rennie Doyle, is his training, is it worth it? And I was thinking back to just the experiences that I've had, and I feel very lucky that I've known Rennie a really long time, more than 20 years, and had the opportunity to both be in a training with Rennie in a setting with other people, and then be one-on-one with Rennie in a lot of the situations that people normally wouldn't get to be with him. And so I felt very lucky to be able to do that in the last 20 years or so. And I thought about that for a second when I read that question from somebody. I was like, wow. First off, any training that you can get in an industry that you're in is valuable. Anything. You always pick up something, one little nugget, But with Rennie in particular, and with the affiliates that Rennie has training, you've got Justin Lobato, and you've got the Parkers, and other people that are involved with him, Diana Balboni, I would love to spend time with each and every one of these people. But just the fact of how much they want you to learn and be successful.
Yes.
So that leads us into that question for you is, how did that change you from where you were to where you are now?
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because, I've always considered myself to be a good detailer, being detail oriented, really like doing the craft. But, when I started this business, I thought, this is going to be easy. I'm a good detailer. I know what I'm doing, so if you build it, they will come. That doesn't apply.
You mean you can't just open your doors, put an shine sign up, and everybody's flocking to bring your car to them?
Yeah, I mean that's what I thought when I started. You know, I had worked for Meguire's here in Costa Rica for over 5 years. I was their local, business developer here, and I thought everybody knows who I am, so this is gonna be easy. And it's not the case. It's not the case at all. So that's one of the best things. If and it was actually William Lara that got me, really thinking about doing Rennie's training. Got to give him credit for that.
Yep,
And
William Lara from Miami Lux.
that's right. That's right. And that's one of the things, the business part, the business side is the one thing, nobody teaches.
Yeah.
Nobody ever even talks about it because it's quote unquote the boring stuff. Today is going to be, I call it the my doing office work day, because you got to do it. But it's that's one of the things that really differentiates the training from Rennie and the whole detail mafia.
So you mentioned that you were working in Meguire's. How did you get started in the detailing industry as a whole?
It's you got to be a car guy. I mean, uh, probably Rod doesn't know, but I'm a serious muscle car freak. That's my thing. I used to have a '65 Mustang.
Nice.
It was a heap of junk, but it was junk. And 90% of the time it didn't run, but it was mine, and I had it for
so
over
it flexed a muscle, but didn't have any muscle.
Yeah, yeah. It's. I mean, it had an inline six, but I had it with during the course of all the time that I had it, I have modified it and put nitrous on it and everything, cammed, and I ported the heads myself, and then install a modern manual transmission, and big 8-inch rear diff, and ladder bars and everything. It was crazy. I mean, it got to a point where we couldn't drive it because it was so modified.
Yep. Well, there's a real car guy. I made it so cool that now I can't drive it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that's how I got into detailing, just working on my own car, trying to make it, polishing it, trying to make it look nice. And the first product I ever tried, because here in Costa Rica, you had your old turtle wax and your new polish, but you didn't have like specialty detailing products.
Mm-hmm.
And the first product I tried, I brought from the States. It was a quick detailer from Meguire's. And I couldn't believe it. What is this magic? You spray some stuff on the paint, it makes it shiny and glossy and slick. I couldn't believe it. So I started investigating, and the people that the Castro oil importers here in Costa Rica, they were importing Meguire's. So I got into contact with them and established a relationship, and that evolved into me starting my own mobile detailing business. This was like in 2004, 2005, as a side hustle, and that's how I started. And one thing led to another. I started working for them.
That's
great.
I was
there for 5 years.
That's amazing. So looking at your transition, you've been building your business, you've gotten training. What are some of the key things that have helped you be successful in your business?
Just listening, just paying attention what everybody else is doing. Just not trying to be Mr. Know-It-All, and just trying to learn from people that have already done it, like Rod mentioned, like Justin Lobato. Those meetings after Air Force One, because people don't realize how busy. I mean, how busy a week is the AFO week.
Gosh.
It's from like sun up I wouldn't say not even to sundown, because we're out there in that patio, 11, 12 o'clock at midnight. And then the next day you're up at 5, 6 a.m. in the morning. So it's those meetings, those talks, those patio talks, you pick up so much information. I mean, it's unbelievable. And people have asked me, that same question that Rod saw. It's not the training per se. It's what comes after the training.
Mm.
Being part of the Detail Mafia forum, being on the webinars, being on the IDA, every Thursday webinars, stuff like that. That's where you pick up, all the, like you said, Yodi, all the little tidbits, all the little nuggets of information that just it's really amazing.
Yeah, I think we were talking about it one time about there was a situation where Jody and I were at a training with a lot of the Mafia guys, and I was polishing on this blue Honda, and I think I was using a different polisher. I was using a RoadFS that I'd never touched before, and the Parkers, the guys from RoadFS, Rennie Doyle, Mark Elliott, all of them are standing around me.
No pressure.
Jason Rose, and they're giving me tips and tricks. And I looked at Jody and I was like, do you know how much the normal human would have to pay to have this kind of input from these guys, from these people, and the years of experience that they've got doing this?
It's like 200 years.
This is insane. This is insane. Somebody take a picture of this, because, and I've got some videos of Jody in that situation, and I'm like, there's no way you're going to get that kind of stuff. And those are the opportunities that are afforded to people once they get all in. And it's like anything, right? It's like if you decided to go to college, but you only halfway went in, you're not going to get everything out of it. It's the same way with detailing. Go into it all the way. IDA, get training, be involved in the webinars, get in there and do it. And one of the things that I think we appreciate so much about you is, like Jody was saying at the beginning, is just the humbleness and the willingness to open up and learn and pass off information. And I think that's a lot of people that they miss out on that because they get in their own way. They're too busy being Superman and not stepping back and going, I've mastered my trade, I'm a good detailer, but there's always room to learn more.
It's really easy to get to put yourself in your own way. I can still remember the first time I touched one of those cars that's more expensive than my own home.
Yeah.
And if you think about it like that, then you're like, I don't even want to be near this car. Because I might trip on something and then land on the freaking thing. And then how am I going to pay for that? But
well, and I think that as a car guy, you appreciate the craftsmanship, and it's somebody else's baby. I mean, they've got it's their dream car.
Yeah, that's exactly the way I approach each and every car. It doesn't matter if it's just a mom and pop minivan to one of those crazy supercars. It's somebody's pride and joy, and it's just it's an expression of their taste. It's if you're paying somebody to detail your car, it's not just a mode of transportation for you. It's you have some interest, you have some value vetted into that car, because it's otherwise you would just take it to the regular car wash and pay $20 and be done with it. But if you're willing to pay for it to have it detailed, then it's more than a car to you. It doesn't matter what kind of car it is.
Yeah, it's almost a reflection and an extension of your personality. In fact, yesterday I was talking to Chris Woolman, and I was telling him that you were going to be our guest today. He goes, Oh man, that guy is a car guy. He sends me stuff every single day.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of those things. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I mean, my YouTube feed is crazy because it's just, just for example, I sent him the other day some videos from the Goodwood Festival in the UK. It's just the
Mhm.
cars going up the hill and just listening to the engines and stuff. It's that's all you need really. Just put your headphones on and then just it's 5 minutes of pure joy just listening to
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, my wife said this to me the other day. I had this video of this car revving up his engine, and it was like a new GT3 on a track, and then you'd hear it
Yeah.
come and go by, And she's like, "Are you literally just listening to engine sounds?" And I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah. Well, you want to know something? Just go into YouTube and look for those what's it called? It's like 3D audio or something. So you can hear it like, going by from your right ear to your left ear and binaural sound or something like that. And
Okay.
just hear it like 3D, like you were at the track. It's
So,
really
so,
cool.
so if you ever go stat, flatline, we know to get you like some audio phones of a car and
Ah,
infusion of diesel or nitrox, and you're good to go, right?
no, just
Right.
some nitromethane and just gonna nitromethane that'll wake me up.
That's right. There for a while, you could buy a candle that was actually the
I
smell
know.
of burnt tires. You could.
Well, actually, the first time I went to SEMA, was in like 2009 or 2008. And it's not that I didn't enjoy SEMA, but because I went with the company that was the Castro distributor and the Meguire's distributor, we got invited to the drag races a week before SEMA at the John Force camp. And let me tell you, I enjoy that thing more than SEMA itself. I mean, I had followed John Force even before he was John Force. Back then when he had the Chevy Lumina, sponsored by Castro and Jolly Rancher. I mean, I was a John Force fan even before he was famous.
Yeah, it's interesting because a couple of years ago at Mobile Tech Expo, Jody and I were down there, and they
He
just
was
changed.
there.
Yeah, he walked in, and I like stepped out in the aisle, and I took a picture of him when he first walked in, and nobody was around him, and he immediately walked up to me, and he stuck his hand out, and he goes, "How you doing?" And I said, "How you doing, boss?" And he was the nicest guy in the world, and
Yes.
Jody, literally, there were people standing around us. I'm like, nobody knows who this guy
Nobody knows.
is.
Do you have any idea who this guy is? He's like a
I was
15-time
like, oh
champ.
my God. I was like, nobody knows.
Yeah. He was on his peak auto shirt on. I remember
Yeah.
I was there at the. I took a picture. He's like all by himself.
Yeah, he's just standing alone. I'm just like,
Anywhere else he'd probably be mobbed. Just surrounded by people.
yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things.
So let me guess. What do you do in your spare time?
What do you mean? Yeah, aside from detailing cars and just watching YouTube videos about cars.
You're like your wife's going. Am I even married?
No, actually, we do like to go out a lot. Costa Rica we have the blessing of having everything going from mountains to beaches, all in less than 3 hours of each other. So
Nice.
if we want to go to like the mountains, we can just get on our car and just drive for an hour and a half. We're on a mountainside. Or if we want to go to the beach, we just get in the car and drive 2 hours and we're at a beach. So we do travel a lot. We really like to go. I wouldn't consider myself like Rennie, like hardcore, outdoors type. But we do like go out on hikes and stuff like that. So we do like doing the outdoors. Actually, when I was in training, in September of 2018, my wife went with me, and she did all the hikes around Big Bear.
Nice.
And this past year in December, when I went as an intern, my whole family went with me, and it was snowing. We don't get any snows here, so it was snowing, so they did all the hiking in the snow and everything, and it was really fun. So we do like, going out and, being outdoors.
That's awesome.
And they're always awake because they have great coffee in Costa Rica too. So they're always awake and ready to go.
Yes. Strong coffee. I like my coffee strong.
That's right.
The stronger the better, right?
Yes.
With the hint of nitromethane.
That's exactly it. Burnt tire smell and
That's good. So man, what are your like key tips? I mean, for a guy trying to build his business, what are the key things that you would recommend a guy or gal do to really explode their business?
Well, the first thing is, like Rennie says, stop, drop, and roll. Just, take it easy. Don't. I would say not to look up stuff on YouTube, because we've all done it. It's like, when you're trying to repair whatever, that's the first place you go to, YouTube. Doesn't matter if just trying to change something on, fix the blender or whatever. But the most important thing is probably get training, get proper training from a reputable source, not just from Joe Schmo down the street, who says he's got like 20 years experience and he's only been in business for 2 years. And that's probably the first thing. And the second thing is just, and listen. Just listen to what people that have made mistakes, people that have, gone through the troubles and through the trials and tribulations of, owning their own business. Because that's what it is. I mean, I like Yvon LaCroix's, what he said, that he said something like he had a business, a customer service business, and shiny cars were just the outcome. But it's just that, it's customer service. And it's probably one of the hardest things when you have your own business, do the customer service thing, because it's you have to be really respondent, and you have to be on top of everything, and especially if you're a one-man show, you have to be everything. So it's those two things, it's just do the training and listen.
I think we're still listening.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you say YouTube, because I think a lot of people are so caught up in the YouTube and the Instagram posts, and I hear a lot of people say, well, I'm sick of seeing 50-50 splits if I have to see another before and after. But it really is a great way to self-evaluate. Your mind doesn't remember. I mean, it remembers there were some scratches or some swirls in it, but if you don't take a picture of it or something and then have something to look back and go, oh yeah, I did make it 150% better. But at the same time, you can go look up, how do I burn through paint? And you're going to find 50 experts on that. So you got to kind of be careful to not be YouTube certified, and at the same time, not be debilitated by trying to be perfect. I think, especially in the detailing industry, there's so many people that are concerned with perfection instead of meeting customer needs. And it's no different for us in the software business. We have to meet customer needs every day. And so, but when you're working on a car, it's like, what is the expectation? I'm working on a car right now with a neighbor of mine, and I've been sending, actually Chris Woolman and I are texting back and forth every day on it. But a neighbor of mine has had this car for over 30 years. And it's a 1965 Porsche 356 SC. And it's a time capsule. Then nothing, it is a time capsule. And it's a mess. It's rusty. There's dents on it. It's got complete rust holes in different spots, but it is beautiful. I mean, it is a beautiful piece of history. And I'm helping him get it back on the road because he wants to drive it. And so I'm texting pictures to Chris, and he's like, "What are you doing?" The expectation of this guy is not perfection, because perfection is $300,000 down the road. I mean, it would take you hundreds of thousands of dollars to restore this car. His thing is, I want to get it on the road. I want to drive it again. And so, I know in your business that's kind of a key thing, is what is the expectation of the customer, and can you meet that, right?
That's probably one of the hardest things for me that I had to learn, because it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're always trying to, give it your best. And at least from my perspective, I thought it was, I'm never happy with the way the car turns out, but if I'm just getting paid for a wash, clay, and steel, that's it, and that's one of the hardest things that you have to learn when you're in business. If you don't go, and I had this explained to me, you don't go to the supermarket and say, I want, just some milk and some bread. The cashier's not going to give you, oh, by the way, here's a Coke and here's a steak and here's,
Right.
Or you can go to a restaurant. They're not going to say, oh, by the way, the dessert it's on the house.
Yep.
That's never happened to me.
You're not getting it.
Yeah. And I think it's a combination of things. Like, some customers expect that. I mean, I know I see people all the time that, man, their customers just bash them. Well, that's not what I expected. And they're like, you paid $150.
Yeah.
You expected it to be 6-stage polish, correction, ceramic coating, take out 15 dents and repaint the hood, and it's $150. Then on the flip side of that, a lot of times internally, you see something and you're like, man, I can take that out. I can take that. If all I need to do is just change it to a wool pad, and I can pull that thing out of there, and it'll be perfect, right? I think that's where people lose money, and they lose their taste for the business. Is you got to draw a line. This person paid for, like you said, a quick wash and a fast detail. It's a maintenance thing. They don't want to have a full 3-stage correction.
Yeah, and most of the times, 99% of the customers are more than happy with the result. They're like beyond words. It was funny because the other day I had a client. She said, "I can't believe what you did to the car, dude. The only thing I did I washed it, I clayed it, and I sealed it." And she couldn't believe. She's like, "It looks brand spanking new again. I can't believe what you did." I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
But that's her expectation.
Yeah.
That's from her point of view. From my point of view, the car was a swirled out mess that I just made shiny again. And beneath all the protection was just all the swirls and scratches, but she couldn't see them. She just saw shiny scratches. But that's what she liked.
Do you set those expectations ahead of time with the customer before you do the work, if it's a new client?
Yes. That's again, that's one of the things that having proper training teaches you. Setting expectations, talking to clients, because here's the thing, and just like in the States, here in Costa Rica, there are a lot of detailers, okay? And there's a lot of price ranges. I'm not the most expensive, but I'm certainly not the cheapest. But there's, inexperienced people, detailers that do, twice the stuff for half the price.
Yeah.
It happens everywhere. And if you had a client that has come from that, from that background, they have different expectations because they've been misinformed on what the level of service was. And I've talked to different detailers, and that's the first thing I tell them: you're too cheap for what you're doing, for the level of service you're doing. You're not charging enough. And most of these guys are just young guys that are just starting out. They don't have the proper training, or they don't have like the know-how or the aches and pains that we've all have gone through. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, when I started, I was way too cheap. you know. And when you start, you have to make a balance of cheap and knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to stay in business, you can't be cheap.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's good. Well, man, we could obviously continue to geek out for another 30 minutes or so, but so obviously I can't take my BMW Z3 down there or my boat to have it detailed by you, but so how do people in Costa Rica get in touch with you?
Well, the easiest way is just going to the website, ecoshinecr.com.
Nice.
That's the easiest way, because I have all the services laid out, all the information, all the training that all the events that I've participated in, and the services from just the maintenance wash to high level correction and coating, to something that's really relatively new, which is sanitizing interiors, which is one of the new things that it is the new normal, as they say.
The new normal. Yeah, wearing a mask.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to wear my mask.
Inhale deeply, Rod.
Yeah, that's what you want me to do.
Well, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much for joining us. I mean,
Thank you guys for having me. You're
amazing.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
You're amazing. I mean, I love what you guys do, and all the people that you've interviewed, and thank you so much for what you guys are doing. It's really good, and you would never think that a software company would have so many really interesting and cool stories to share with everybody.
Well, what's fun is it's really your story, right? It's the detailer story. It's a small business owner story.
Yeah.
And that's really the goal of these, is to highlight you guys and what amazing things you guys are doing in your business. So
yeah.
So well, thank you so much, man. So Rod, did you have one last thing you wanted to say?
No, I'm just gonna have to start sending more stuff to Alejandro now because of his car guy stuff, so we can geek out on other stuff.
Yes.
Awesome. Hey, well, you have a fantastic day in Costa Rica. I hope you get to the beach. I wish I was at the beach, but Rod's making me work.
Hey, you guys can come down anytime. Well, not anytime. As soon as everything goes back to normal.
Yeah, that's right.
You're welcome.
What? Okay. I can't come down with the mask on?
Yeah.
Nah.
Nope.
He's like, no.
No, because I mean everything's closed, man. All the airports are closed.
Yeah, no, you're right. So anyway, well, thank you so much again for being our guest. And everybody else, thank you for joining us every week as we meet with some of the most amazing detailers in the industry, both men and women. And obviously we get some real car guys that just want to inhale nitromethane. They're good to go.
That's right. We're all good. Everybody go out and subscribe to this channel, and you can get updates as soon as we put them out there on YouTube. We put them on the podcast. They're always on Facebook. We put them on all the forums. So if you can't find us, you're not looking.
That's it. So thank you guys.
Right.
You guys have a fantastic day, and we'll catch you guys same time just next week.
Yep. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.